Well, Ndi Kato joins us now. She is a social worker and also she's been resident in Kaduna, southern Kaduna more specifically, I believe.
Yes.
She is from Kamfanchan. Well, I'm sure you must be very disturbed, hearing about all of these killings, people dying, people being killed needlessly, as it were.
Of course I am.
So what, from your perspective, you're much younger than our first guest. Our first guest says that, they've lived there peacefully for many years. And, the first crisis for him was in 1987. From your perspective, what do you think is at the bottom of this latest crisis?
Let's put the year 1987 into perspective. I was born after that. So for me, that is all my life, So when you make it look like it's just a short time, even if we're just going to date it to 1987, that is actually all my life. And most of the young people from southern Kaduna, that is all their life.
Well, that's all they've seen?
That is all we have seen. So you can refer to us as, children that have only known war our entire lives. 1987 is 30 years now.
So what did they tell you this conflict is about?
Growing up, I've lived many places, and your parents will just always remind you that we're kind of like a species facing extinction. It's years and years of killing for any reason, and it's quite insulting to just say, oh, it's politics. No, it could be a paper bag on the floor. It could be somebody passed the wrong way, and people will die in southern Kaduna. It could be a beauty contest, and people will die in southern Kaduna. It could just be anything. So this, I feel like people just come and try to use anything to just downplay it. But let's go back to the fact that for any reason at all, lives are wasted daily. My people die in southern Kaduna for any reason at all.
So what precisely is at the root of this?
Well, when we looked back at what just happened in Aso, the day before Easter, that's the season, and you can see that this particular attack is not just to waste lives, but to demoralize. Yes, you can point to politics, yes, religion, yes, socio-economic, everything. But at the root of all this is that these people are being wiped out. And if all of this point to one thing, that these people die in numbers, then I think that there is a deliberate move to wipe out the people in southern Kaduna.
Is that possible?
It is possible for us that are living this reality. You can't take that from our heads. You can't say, oh, you are just reaching. No, we're not reaching. When for over 30 years, when you were born into this and it has not stopped, and for flimsy reasons your people die, you can say it with your chest out loud that yes, there is a deliberate move to wipe out people in southern Kaduna.
Would you say that these attacks have been one-sided?
Yeah, for the greater part. And, you cannot keep coming at people constantly and expect that, at some point they won't want to fight back. And it's very painful that when people reach their breaking points and want to fight back, you say, oh, okay, so they have done it now. We're just both fighting each other. The numbers don't tally to, we're just fighting each other. They don't add up to, two groups of people are just going back and forth. That's not what the numbers show. The casualty is heavy on the indigenous people of southern Kaduna.
And some people say that at the bottom of this is that crisis of, who's an indigene and who's a settler.
Well, for the greater part of it, the indigenes of the place are not the ones that usually start these fights. So if the people that have been there and keep in mind that there are other settlers, there are a lot of Igbo people in Kamfanchan, a lot of Yoruba people, many. I mean, Kamfanchan used to be a nerve center. So there are other people that come from there. And we have no issues with those people. They have lived there for years, they have raised their families, have businesses, have everything. The railway our parents told us about and all the workers, many of them did not leave. Some of them too were also part of the casualty, of which our people didn't kill them. So we do live peacefully with people. It is expected.
From your perspective, I'm sure you have heard, different stories of who could be carrying out these attacks, those who could be responsible for it.
Yes.
different causes. We've heard of farmers and herdsmen crisis. We've heard of indigene and settler crisis. We've heard of all sorts at the bottom of this. From your perspective, what precisely, or who do you think are those behind this attack?
Right now, Fulani herdsmen are. They've not said they are not. Those courts have shown to be. They have not. We've seen people come out to say, hey, we did this because so and so and so. So every time having to go over and over this again, no offense, but I'd like to point out that this conversation, if you look back, you've had it before. And you've had it before, and you've had it, and you've had it, and you've had it. And every time we ask the same questions. But bottom line is, my people are dying. Every day we come here, another person will come and will ask, who is doing the killing? Do you think, oh, it's indigenous settler? Or do we think it's this, this, and that? You know, and sometimes you just hear the dispassionate responses. The police commissioner said that part of the state. He didn't even mention, I watched it, he didn't even mention the place. You know, it's not, it's a statistic, it's that part of the state. It's the same thing every day. But at the bottom of all this, what we should focus on is that our people are dying. Aso was 13 people. 13 people too much. Another 13. One life is already too much to go. And then we have 13. If I was permitted to come with my phone, I would have read out their names. They had lives. They had occupations. They had families. They were going to do something today. They had their plans for this week, for next week. They had ways in which they were going to add to our communities. And they have been wasted. And not to be negative, but knowing Nigeria, another people, another group from our place will die again. Mope, that's the conversation. That's what is happening. So whether I come here and sit, it's the same thing another person will sit on this chair and go on and on about. But we're dying. We're dying and we have not stopped dying. And that's it. Whatever you ask, I'll go back there. I will still go back to this point that we are dying and we have not stopped dying. You go back to the village and you talk to the women and they're breaking down. It's not just the figures you see. It's not just what is on TV. Psychologically, these women are done. What of our children? I was telling people that okay, for me, you know, we can go all the way back. But let's put it into perspective. The 2001 bombing in Jos. Children that were 3 years old then are 20 now. All we know is murder, is strife, is death and loss.
And that's, you know, that's very fearful. Because when all that, you know, a set of children know, you know, is strife, is war, is doubt, is, you know, perhaps hate as well.
Yes.
You know, they're very, very strong fears that, you know, perhaps this reconciliation might just be a mirage.